Hello and welcome back. If you are new here, thank you so much for tuning in to Midlife by Design, and welcome back to my diehard listeners here. I see you and thank you so much for being here. I am your host, Lisai, human design teacher and midlife coach, here to help you shed the shoulds and be who you came here to be. So before we dive into today's episode, I just want to invite you into the Midlife Magic membership. If you want to start experimenting with human design with other midlife mavens, then this is your chance this summer to be part of the beta group. We have started, we are about almost a month in, and it is such an amazing group of women who are doing the work of living human design and practicing it. So I invite you to join us. I will drop the link in the show notes. And today's pod is for us all as we are in bikini season. And I just was wanting to recognize how challenging body image can be in midlife and during perimenopause and menopause. So this episode is all about that. And without further ado, let's just dive in. Hello and welcome back to Midlife by Design. So it is bikini season here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I have an episode or a series of episodes on my heart to share with you about self-love, body love, as much as for you as it is for me, really. And I want to call this series of episodes, I Used to Be Hot, Now What? Because I just feel like this is a part of our transition into midlife that in a weird way doesn't get talked about enough. And I say a weird way because I feel like women's culture, the culture of being a woman, especially in the United States, is such that we are constantly barraged with body image messages, right? And what it means to be female and the pressure to be beautiful, to be thin, etc. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today as we shed our clothing in this season. And I want to talk about it through the lens of human design, of course, and try to help us come back to a remembering, as we are always trying to do by using our human design. I know that for me, there's this constant tension of accepting the changes in my body, understanding what's going on in perimenopause, understanding the incredible changes that are happening in my body as estrogen levels fall and progesterone levels and all the hormones just fall, and what that is calling for me to do, which is rest. Right? Like taking things more slowly. And we've talked about this before on the pod, this need to really slow down in midlife and let your body make this transition with love and at a pace that doesn't feel like the grind. And so there's definitely, I feel like I've got the devil and angels on my shoulders at all time, because the angel wants me to slow down. It wants me to give myself permission to do that. And slowing down, knowing that slowing down is necessary in perimenopause versus the grind of trying to stay in shape, to get in shape, to be in shape, to take care of my body in a way that feels like I am honoring my body. And also just treating her like she is meant to be treated, treating myself like I am meant to be treated, which means eating nourishing foods and not eating my emotions or that kind of thing. So there's this constant tension. And I feel like I personally have experienced that throughout my life. And perimenopause and midlife have exacerbated it or brought it even more to the surface, because it's like you can't ignore the changes happening in your body, right? Whether they are happening on your face with wrinkles, or your skin with spots, or your weight with belly, your belly feeling a little softer than it usually has in the past. You can't ignore it. And this constant judgment that I think so many women have of their bodies is something that I feel so deeply that I want to break the chain on this. I want to help us break out of this. And I'm talking to myself just as much as I'm talking to you, my listeners, because I feel like it just is not serving us, and it takes away so much of our power and so much of our joy, really, when we are constantly worrying about how we look and whether or not we're fitting into a societal norm. And this is also where the estrogen and the decline of estrogen helps us a little bit, right? Because we give less fucks and we don't care so much about how we look. So I want to remind us that we are souls first. We are souls who in this lifetime have a body. And this is the body we chose for this lifetime. With whatever quirks it has, this is the body that we chose to experience this lifetime in. And remembering that is one way that I bring myself so much peace. And we will get to some deconditioning ideas a little bit later in the episode, but I wanted to just start with this idea of being a soul who has a body. And even when we move into the different phases of our lives and our identity shifts, we have to just look at it as it's the portal, right? Midlife is a portal that we are walking through into a new identity. And it doesn't mean that it's any less than, even though society is often telling us that it is, telling us that, oh, sure, you can be empowered and amazing when you're 50, as long as you still look like you're 30. And I think that it can be so hard because suddenly we feel invisible. And that is tied into this identity shift in so many ways, right? We were mothers first, many of us, and having adult children, and your life is different as a mother. Parenting adult children is very different than parenting younger children. And so you're not needed in that capacity in the same way. A lot of women in midlife are moving out of careers because they've decided, you know what, this is no longer a fit. I'm going to move into something else. And there can oftentimes be this liminal space where they're trying to figure out what that is and get back to their essence and who they truly feel like they are, so they can do something that feels like a fit. And there's this weird disconnect of like looking in the mirror and having all these thoughts go through your mind of the different identities that you're moving through and the different phases. And then you look in the mirror and you think inside, boy, I don't feel necessarily very different from when I was 30, but God, do I look different. You know, my eyelids are sagging or my clothes don't fit, even though I have a closet that is full of things that maybe I still love those things, but they just don't fit the same way that they did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago even. looking back at photos, scrolling back in your phone and just wishing. Oh, I read this comment once on Threads just recently. It was something like, I wish I weighed as much as I did when I thought I was fat. And I was like, oh, yeah. Because it's so hard in our society to appreciate where we are. And I think that is one of the core messages that I want you to walk away with today is learning how to do that. And again, I will touch on some ideas for you. But the truth is that perimenopause comes for us all, right? 100% of women who make it to this age will experience perimenopause. And our bodies, as I have also been talking about, are our messengers, right? And they, at this point in our lives, are screaming for us to listen to them, to recognize that the mind is just the peanut gallery or the itty bitty shitty committee, shout out to Maggie. And it's not your truth. So it's looking at this phase of life and this transition in life as just another phase. It's the next step. And shit, if it doesn't beat the alternative, right? Like, we are here, we are living, we get to be in these gorgeous bodies. And thinking of our bodies more as a partnership and just one part of who we are. And listen, I'm not at all saying that this is easy. It's more we need to constantly remind ourselves so that we can start to reprogram our minds around this kind of thinking. Because hotness, being hot, was like a currency, right? We were conditioned to value being hot, being attractive, being, thin, being whatever healthy is considered, is almost conflated with youth. And we may have learned when we were younger that fitting into those schemes, like, it got us places, it got us things. And so we felt valued when other people looked at us like, damn girl, that gave us a sense of self-worth. And now as we lose that, there's this sense of disorientation, like, who am I now? If I'm not the hot girl, or if I'm not, the thin girl, or if I'm not whatever it was about your body that you loved when you were younger that has changed. If that's not you, who are you? What value do you have? And I gotta say, especially for Gen X, I remember distinctly a friend of mine in high school. One day we were sitting down to lunch and I had my tiny little bowl of cereal that I was eating. Cocoa Krispies. Yep. I wouldn't say that my knowledge of nutrition and or care about nutrition was anything in high school. I basically just ate very little. And so I had my little bowl of cereal and I remember sitting down next to her and I was like, oh, you're not eating lunch today? And she was like, no, I took a Dexatrim. And then she was like, oh, wow, that's so weird. I suddenly feel full, like just barely. I just feel so full all of a sudden. And I was like, what? That is so weird. And there was just something inside of me that was like, okay, I know that this is bad idea. And like what I am eating is probably not great. And plus also, I don't think I'm going to go as far as to take diet pills. And listen, whatever, no judgment on anybody because the pressure is so real. But it just makes me think like, oh my God, as Gen Xers being in high school and having that pressure on us to be so thin is like Weight Watchers started in the early 70s. Do you ladies remember the fat-free diets, right? It went from fat-free, which meant high sugar, high carb, then it was low carb, then it was like eat right for your type. Like, oh my gosh, it just felt like a proverbial pinball fucking machine where it was going from one thing to another, trying to figure out what actually works well for your body. But it's just no wonder the world that we live in has influenced us to feel the way that we do. And I think about conversations still that happen, like with my running group, things coming up about weight gain and what to wear and how to dress this like changing body. And it is this regularly running program in the background. And it's fucking bullshit. And it's time to just break it. So I am inviting you along with me to reframe it and think about who are some of the people that we can look to as role models to show us what does it look like to age and to have a body that's not the same as we had when we were 20 and 30. And, not fucking talking about J-Lo, okay? I don't even know. She's like, it's insane what she looks like when she's 54, right? 54? I don't know. She might even be older. Anyway, I'm not talking about the celebs who are basically going for I'm going to stay looking 30 forever. And I want to talk about some of the ways that I look at this through the lens of human design. And one of them is through gate 46. So gate 46 is in the G center, which is in the center of your human design chart. It's the little diamond shape. And if you don't already have your chart, as you know, go to LoriLisai.com, LORILIS as in Sam, AI.com, and get your chart for free and look to see, do you have gate 46 colored in? Is it defined for you? And if it is, you could even go a layer deeper and take a look at in what planet is it defined, which you can find the 46 on either side of your chart. You have those lists of numbers. On the left-hand side, it's the unconscious numbers. On the right-hand side, it's the conscious numbers or gates. And if you look to see, like, what planet is it in? And that can give you some sense of how it plays out in your life. And I'm just going to tell you, if you were born around 1973, then you are going to have gate 46 in Pluto. And Pluto is all about transformation. It's about like death and rebirth. And so that's a chunk of Gen X who is going through this lifetime with this very strong call for transformation around the themes of gate 46. Gate 46 holds the energy of embodiment. It holds the energy of feeling connected to the wisdom of the body, to taking care of the body, to loving the body in its high expression. In its low expression, it's the opposite. It's not taking care of your body. It's obsessing over the body. And listen, there are some other themes of gate 46 that I'm not going to touch on today just because we're talking about specifically self-love and body love. But I just wanted to add a caveat there. So Pluto's transit through this gate, Pluto transits take about 3 years for each gate. And for me, it's in gate 46.4. So that means that it probably started in 72 at some point and maybe like through 74-ish, somewhere around in there. So if you were born anytime in there, then it's soul level work. It's not even superficial. And if you have gate 46 in your sun, for example, thinking about that is where you're meant to shine. It's what you're meant to share with the world. So having a good handle on how you feel about your body is so important for you. If it's in your Mercury, for example, then it's something that you're here to talk about. And you may have 46 in multiple placements. So it's always helpful to understand what planet you have a gate in. And it just gives you another layer of meaning. And if you don't have it defined, then that just means that once a year, when the sun is transiting that gate, that you will be under the influence of gate 46 for those days. So whatever your chart looks like, it's a gate that we are all collectively integrating in some way, shape, or form. And so let's talk about that conditioning and how we can help to come into the high expression of this gate, especially in bikini season, especially as we're wearing fewer clothes and wanting to really tap into our summer vibes and carefree and joyfulness and not be worrying about what we look like. So honestly, sometimes I think it's about bravery for us. And if you have enough estrogen still where you do give a fuck, then this is really where it's a call to bravery and just refusing the negativity. And so I was thinking about my swimsuit selection for myself, and I haven't actually bought a swimsuit in a long time. I have quite a few bikinis, and I have a bikini that I've had for a long time. It's just a string bikini. And I was like, fuck it. I am absolutely wearing this bikini. And the beautiful thing about a string bikini is it's adjustable. We love that about the strings. And so I'm just like out here wearing it and doing the thing and like whatever. Yes, I have lots of friends who are in way better shape than I am. And sometimes I still hear that voice like, oh, you gotta work harder. Let's get out. Let's like run some more miles and see if I can just like shed a few more pounds. And then I'm like, shh, okay. You gotta remember, this is about nutrition. This is about slowing down. This is about regulating our nervous system. This is about loving this vessel for all that she does for me and just refusing the negativity and embracing what my body can do. Having broken a few bones in the last few years, believe me, I have become so much more grateful for the things that my body is able to do. And I hope that you don't have to have that same reminder before you start giving gratitude to your body. And also, I think remembering not only what it can do for you now, but also what it has done for you. Has it carried babies? Has it helped you to process grief through the loss of loved ones? Has it helped you to feel rage about injustice or whatever, maybe even just your freaking teenager pissing you off? Has it felt joy? All of these things that it has done for you, the places that it has taken you, it is showing up for you. And frankly, do you really want to go back to your 20s? I wouldn't trade it. So I invite you to see your body as your soul holder. And each morning when you wake up, remember to give it gratitude for what it can do. Consider some new affirmations for yourself that are updated. Something like, I am strong and healthy. Instead of things like, I want to be beautiful or whatever, I actually, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking in my head, it's also about redefining beauty, right? And updating your maybe outdated beliefs about what beauty is and what beauty can be, right? Beauty can be showing up as your authentic self, sans makeup, in your messy beauty as the human that you are. And the last thing for today's episode anyway, that I would invite you to do when you catch yourself being an asshole to yourself, asking is this something that I would say to my best friend? Is this the way that I would treat my best friend? And if it's not something that you would say to them, then it's a good invitation for you to rethink how you're talking to yourself. So as I wrap up here, remember that we are not broken. This is just unlearning decades of cultural conditioning. And if this kind of stuff comes up for you in the summers, or whenever you have to put on a bathing suit, or whenever you're like trying to fit into an old piece of clothing, then look at it as a harbinger for the next phase of life, so that when you look in the mirror and you see those wrinkles, you can be like, oh, yay, I've had more experiences. And look at me, I am still here. I am still living my soul life in this gorgeous body. And thank you, body, for everything that you have done for me and that you will continue to do for me. So I invite you to ask yourself, maybe a little journal, what would it feel like to feel at home in your body today, not someday? What would it feel like to feel really good in your body today? Okay, and with that, I will pick up on this theme on the next pod, and we'll talk about another gate that influences the way that we feel about our bodies, the way that we feel about ourselves. Until next time. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Midlife by Design. I hope that it inspired you to feel good about your gorgeous human body and to start just giving all kinds of love to it. I really think it's so important, and I hope that the exploration of Gate 46 allowed you to just contemplate what it means for you. So if you were inspired or loved this pod, I would be so grateful to you if you shared it with a friend or left a rating and review just to help me get it out there to other people. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you so much for listening. And for this week, I'm sending you strength to let go of what no longer serves you, joy to fill your days, and the clarity to be who you came here to be.